So, hello, Adam. Adam Syrop.
Yes,
That's
like
correct.
you stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now, Adam, I've been dying to come and chat with you for a little while. You won an award, a BAFTA award for the work that you've done around video games with opportunities for young people. You must be so proud of such an achievement.
yeah. Shocked, surprised, a little bit amused. Yeah. So BAFTA have they have the film, television, all the big stuff. They have games because games are now sort of the business of games is sort of getting bigger than film. But they also really want to develop young talent. So they have the Young Games Designer Awards and the Young Film Awards and the Young Television Awards. And so within the Young Games Designer Awards, there's actually an award for a mentor, people who inspire young people into game design. And so Impact Gamers and won that award back in 2018. So yeah, very exciting.
So today I've brought a young audience with me. Some of them are 11, some are 14 years old, some are slightly older, younger.
Yep.
And they'll be wondering where on earth in the world you may be. So can you tell us a little bit about like where you live in the world or?
Yeah. So I've been in Bradford since 2000, came here for university. I live in the BD6 area, which is South Bradford, but I work in BD5, which is a bit more central, around West Bowling.
And so you said you came to Bradford. Like what age were you when you came to Bradford?
Yeah, 18. I came from down south in Cardiff, up to Bradford, age 18, to study computer animation and special effects. I love working with computers. I love doing things that are creative. And there was only 2 computer animation courses back in 2000, Bournemouth and Bradford. And Bradford was just the friendlier place. So I chose that.
Gosh, that's quite incredible, because I think some people watching this would think if you really want to, win awards, in video games or study, you'd have to get out of Bradford as quickly as you can. You did the opposite. You've come from South Wales into England to Yorkshire to Bradford to study in video games and that sort of thing here. So that was at the university. Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, I studied computer animation and special effects, but it was part of a whole department which had games design and video production. And so you got to learn a lot of those skills at the same time. It was a very multimedia course. Yeah.
So I think you said a moment ago that was like nearly 20 years ago when you came.
Yeah, it was half my life ago. Yeah.
So do you think that those courses have now finished at university or?
No. I went to the university last year. They invited me in, and I got to speak to some games development students there. They're still doing games design, still doing cybernetics and really exciting stuff, really groundbreaking things there, and programming and stuff like that. But still computer animation, still games design, still happening, just in a school of informatics now. So
I'm trying to imagine now in my head. I'm trying to think back to you 20 years ago at the age of 18.
Yeah.
Just prior to, because that's a big risk to leave your family home to travel, from Wales to England to Bradford in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
How did you know? Were you obsessed about computers and video games? Were you studying things at school? Were all your teachers going, "Oh, Adam, you need to go and work and study in video games"? No
one knew that. No one knew that those courses existed. We had a careers advice tutor who. They said, oh, sort of like what things you're interested in, stuff like that, trying to work out what career would be a good thing for you, which is sort of, it happens quite a lot, I suppose, in your later high school years. What courses should you take? What things you should do? And I was like, I want to do computer animation. And they just looked at me saying, are there courses? So I had to do a bit of the research, but I made the horrible choice of choosing when I went from GCSE to A level. I chose the A levels that I thought would be easiest for me. Like I was quite mathematical, so I chose maths, physics, computing, and art. I love art. I don't think I'm great at it, but I love it. But then, just the coursework for art, I was doing an AS, a half A level, and the coursework was the same as the full A level. And I wanted to do other stuff. I was interested. I had groups and clubs that I wanted to be part of. So I dropped the art, and I had the most boring 2 years of my life doing mathematical stuff when I wanted to be creating things. And I just when I went to uni, I I was not going to do computer programming. It was something that I can do, and I do, but it doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't make me happy each day. It's very repetitive in terms of this and that's, I like things being different all the time, and that's how I ended up where I am with Impact Gamers, because I like different things.
I wonder, did we have the same career advisor? Because I wanted to go into design or architecture, and they told me maths and physics. So I was learning all about mechanics and equilibrium and all these kind of things. Now, maybe if I'd gone for a career into video games, physics and mechanics might have actually proved useful rather than computer science is the path I went down.
Yeah.
So you left university a few years later, and then what? You got a job in the video games industry? You develop apps for consoles, or no?
No. I fell in love with the city of Bradford, and sort of made some really good friends who are doing community work, and ended up being it's like a pupil referral unit for kids who are struggling in education, and have to sort of have a different type of schooling. I ended up being a tutor there, and I ended up sort of doing a lot more kind of youth worky stuff. But all the time, I had loads of freedom about how I taught things. So we did taught through skills through filming and editing, by doing some game making. And I use game making because coding and programming and game making are different. It's it's very technical to be coding and programming, but game making is much more expressive and creative. There's more art involved. There's more English and storyline and stuff like that. And so within a games design environment, you're likely to find something that suits you. You might really like the game testing and reviewing and trying to break the game. You might really like the design. You might really like the planning of the story. You might like the artwork of creating the characters. But it all pieces together in this, like I've said, multimedia before, this multimedia way to create an end product. And so we used some software just that made it much simpler, so there wasn't much coding, but a lot of games design aspect.
So you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the BAFTA Mentor Award, you said Impact Gamers.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been to Impact Gamers. Somebody watching this, they may not have heard of it.
No.
Tell them, what is it? Is it for everybody?
Yeah, it is for everybody, but we work with young people. So we work from 7 to 18-year-olds. And what we do is we're there to inspire young people to be creative with computers, and we use game making for that. The game making is part of what we do, but the other thing is that we're there as a group. So we're there as a sort of social entity. We're there to improve self-esteem. We're there to sort of grow their confidence in different things, but at the same time teaching them skills as well. We want them to go to Impact Gamers and make friends and make games at the same time. So
it's not just lots of people sat down all coding on their keyboards.
No. What I wanted it to be is I wanted it to be so like you have the football club for the sporty people, and they go and they build friendships, they build relationships, they sort of like they have some socials in there as well. I wanted that for the kids who just aren't sporty. I was so bad at sport, but there was no, there's a chess club, but there wasn't any middle ground. So there was this sort of like the people who are just not sporty but very I don't know what, chess, sort of like problem solving and stuff, but there wasn't anything, there wasn't any groups that were more creative.
So forgive me for asking, but why would somebody physically need to come along? I mean, there's lots of online party social games, could they not do this in Fortnite or, even in a sort of what's it called? Sandbox environment, just hang out with each other and sit around and just not shoot each other and stuff. Could they not do that instead?
They could do that. I tell you what, it's very tricky to actually complete anything when you haven't got someone there to mentor you, to someone to support you. So that's if I probably started about making 30 to 40 different games over my teenage years. I completed making them. I probably completed one, but not as well as I wanted to, because you change ideas or you get stuck, something happens, and you just give up on it, and you haven't got someone to guide you along and say, this is what you should, this is how you could improve it, and this is what you could do, and you haven't got the encouragement, so you get to a boring bit of the game.
I get you now. So would this be like the Obi-Wan character in Star Wars, and Luke?
We're totally the Jedi Masters and the Padawan. Yeah.
So Luke is like, I'm not sure if I can be a Jedi, and how do I use this lightsaber thing? And
we teach the ways of the Force. That's the best way to describe Impact Gamers. Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you got the award for, the mentoring. Yeah. You see, some people I've spoken to have said, oh, you don't need to go to these things. There's so many YouTube tutorials. There's this Unity course you can follow, and you can learn all that stuff yourself at home. But you're saying, well, that's useful, Alan, but if you don't have a mentor, you're going to start lots of things and never finish or complete or achieve anything.
Yeah,
is that what
exactly. Like in going to university, I could have learned those things at home, but I didn't. I had course tutors, I had people alongside me at the university doing the same things to bounce ideas off, and to check up on me, sort of like, to why weren't you at the lecture or whatever, like those things. So and I had coursework deadlines, and I'm not that type of person who can set a deadline that big or that difficult and say, well, next year I want to have made a new game by myself. I need some people around me to do that, work as a team.
I'm really buying into this idea of this, because I can imagine like somebody starting off something new, but the mentor is there, not necessarily to reprimand or tell them off, but like, that's really good, Adam, but have you considered this, and how might that lead to this, and what's your plan B, if that doesn't work out?
Yeah.
And especially for, like, if there's somebody watching and they're in their teens and they're thinking, oh, I'm like 13, I'm going to have to wait 5 years before I can go to university.
Yeah.
Something like Impact Gamers, they can go there and they can already be mentored. It may even be that by the age of 18, they've already figured out exactly what it is, rather than wait till they get to university to figure that out.
Yeah, no, that's the danger, isn't it? Is sort of that if you wait till university to try things out, like you said, it's a huge commitment, and
it's a big risk as well to then find out, no, actually I chose the wrong course, and it's not so easy to start all over again. So how do people find out more about the opportunities at Impact Gamers Bradford?
Yeah. So Facebook is sort of a useful way that we communicate. We're Impact Gamers BFD for Bradford.
So somebody could go on the Facebook page, and there's like an instant message chat thing. You can so that's one way.
Oh, and you don't need to. So to be part of Impact Gamers, you don't need to be part of Impact Gamers. So on our website, impactgamers.net, you might find some tutorials, or find us on YouTube. You might follow them and get stuck. Send us an email. Like, we're not people in a different country or anything like that. Send us an email, send us your file, stuck with this, can you help me? You don't need to come to regular clubs to benefit from any support from us. Our whole thing is we want to inspire young people to create stuff on computers, and it doesn't matter if they physically attend the clubs. If they're doing it at home, that's great.
It sounds great. So how much this costs, like, per month, or what?
Thousands of nothing. No, it costs nothing. We get funded through donations, through grants. We're a community interest company, so that's like being a charity, but we run as a company, because we don't want there being any divide. It's not that if you can pay for a games making course, you'll be a better games maker than someone who can't pay for a course, or if you pay more for it, you'll make better games. It's not about that. And so our whole ethos is that we provide things for free, as do many people in Bradford. There's loads of great groups running things for free, and costs are covered by other people, by grant funders or by individual donors, stuff like that.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. So people watching this can find out more about it. They can already engage with the opportunities that are available online, and then, if it's possible, they can physically go along. They can meet others that have similar interests themselves, and there'll be lots of Obi-Wan Kenobis there that can tell them to steer on use the good force and stay away from the dark forces of evil.
Well, it's all about balance, I think you'll find.
Yin and yang. Yeah,
it's about a bit of good and a bit of bad. But one thing that really we do enforce is that the games need to be positive. So we have no real world violence and no blood, no swearing. And kids are like, "Oh, that'll be rubbish." And then they start making the game, and they're like, "Oh no, I'll do this and I'll do that." And you start to get creativity because they're not copying something that they've just played. They start to use their own ideas. And there's plenty of games that have gone on to make millions and millions that don't have any blood or violence in and stuff like that. It's all about the enjoyment of playing.
So you mean like pinball games? Is that what you mean?
I mean like all sorts of games. Although I do love pinball. It's such a simple...
You do?
I do. I rebuilt a table in my teenage years. And we've got a virtual pinball table at Impact Gamers, which is built into a 1960s pinball cabinet. Anyway, if you come along, do have a game of virtual pinball. But no, sort of like, you've got your Rocket League, you've got your sort of Human Fall Flat, you've got your Gang Beasts. Sort of like Gang Beasts are beat 'em up, which isn't violent. You're like plasticine characters fighting each other and things like that. And most sports games don't have too much violence unless you're playing me in FIFA. Then it's a lot of fouling that happens then.
Now, Adam, you sound like you're somebody who's very, very passionate about providing opportunities for young people, but also you sound like you're very, very much interested in games.
Yeah.
If you were ever looking to, for some time just to chill out or hang out with friends in the area around Bradford, is there any places you'd like to go, just to, like your game friends, that you'd go to?
Well, the special treat, like the at least annual outing for Impact Gamer staff is to Arcade Club but just outside Bradford, just not very far away, just in Kirklees.
Kirkstall, is it? Kirkstall, yes.
Kirkstall, Leeds. Sorry, saying the wrong place. But and there's one in Manchester as well. But they've got.
Is that not just full though of like people of a certain age reliving all their nostalgia of Pac-Man and Space Invaders? No,
at certain times of the day. I think if you stay there after 10 o'clock, you've only got the over 40s. But before that, during the daytime, in the daytime sessions, no. So I've taken my kids, I've taken them when they've been from age 6 and upwards, because some of the arcade games, they're so just tactile, as in they're just easy to feel what to do. And some of them are mental. There's one called Flip the Table, where you just have to flip a table at the right time to destroy as much of the wedding reception or whatever's happening at the same time. So there's crazy Japanese games, and so there's loads of games there that are child friendly, age friendly, and
I suppose it's possible if you were working on a project or a game like this and there was something you were looking for an idea, you might be inspired by something you've seen at Kirkstall.
So much inspiration at Arcade Club. It's ridiculous. We're seeing reboots of films all the time come out because you have a really good storyline, but just the film's a bit dated, and so they re-release it and reboot it. And we're seeing reboots of games. We're seeing the Mega Drive Mini and the SNES Mini and sort of like stuff like that happening. But the ideas of what makes a good game, they've existed for a very long time, so you loads of inspiration and some great ideas.
So that's Arcade Club. And I suppose to a similar extent, the Games Lounge at the Media Museum as well, because they've got the coin-op cabinets and they've got some of the old 80s consoles and home computers. Sometimes people don't even notice all the artwork on the walls. So there's lots of visualizations from sketches.
And there is some fantastic stuff of the original sketches. That we do a show called The History of Video Game, and we take you through most of the games that are in the museum, and it's absolutely incredible the way that they had not much technology but made games that were at the time breakthrough. So
didn't you do this at the Games Festival in 2020? Was it February 2020?
Yeah, we did.
The Pictureville Cinema.
Yep.
And you had all of the audience all engaged, and like people on one side of the audience.
Made our own Mortal Kombat.
And there was people on the stage taking part, and there was people in the audience. Wow, that was such an enjoyable. I was in the audience then, and it was so fun watching people of all ages trying to, get involved in this. Yeah, so
that's a show that we tour, and so you might end up seeing that at some point, hopefully. So.
Might there be any other opportunity people need to look out for the future? Like anything big that's coming in terms of games industry?
Totally. Like esports, it's crazy. It's great. Like, so you've had the kind of the age of tutorial of people saying this is how you do Minecraft well, and this is how you do this well, and this is how you unlock these cars in Forza and stuff like that. And we're now moving into clubs and groups working together, and it's been happening in Asia. So esports, people going along watching sort of these sort of massive multiplayer games where people are working in squads, or it might be a first-person shooter, or it might be Rocket League. Rocket League is just like taken off now; it's released for free massively to allow people to compete in the same way that a sports group would compete. So they're having the same sort of social engagement with each other, like we want at Impact Gamers, but this time it's not about creativity, it's about teamwork and play. And yeah, esports, I imagine a lot of the empty venues in the town centre could quite easily be converted for esports. And I know that the museum each year at the Games Festival try and introduce more and more esports, and hopefully there can be venues set up for people to come and play Rocket League, to play sort of F1 racing is another classic one, or sports or FIFA or things like that. Loads of different things, but people working together and having friendlies and having competitions. And we really, really want to help enable that in Bradford, having some more inclusive play.
It was quite something, the Games Festival, the last one that we were talking about, and there was representatives at the last festival from the British Esports Association, and there were there was live demonstrations, the audience could take part, and there was people there who were happy to explain more about how to become more involved in esports. And also, when we were having our conversation earlier about retro games, one of the things I thought, I don't know if you're aware that it opened about a year ago in Bradford, Geek Retreat. So it's a board game. It's a board game cafe essentially, and you go in and there's all these big tables, and you can buy some food and drink, and they do vegetarian and vegan food as well. So you've got this, yes, and cookies with Smarties on top, and all sorts of gooey, sticky sweets that are probably not very good for your teeth, but they give you lots of energy, and you can power on. Yeah. So they've got a huge big wall of all of their board games. Yes. And there's a little corner with some sofas where they've got some recent and retro games consoles. So there's I'm sure there's a NES there.
There is, and they do Smash Brothers tournaments and stuff as well there. And it's just really great to they just make it's fun to watch and sort of.
And the thing as well about the Geek Retreat, I don't think it costs a lot of money. You don't necessarily pay to play. All they do is they just expect that you're going to buy nice things to eat. I can't necessarily say that they're going to be very, very nutritious, but it's a local business, and it's great if we can support things like this. So, Adam, it's been fantastic talking to you. You've given us loads of ideas there. Particularly, I'm keen to find out much more about Impact Gamers Bradford. So I'm going to go and visit the website to find out about that. And I love what you're saying about mentoring, because I think that's one thing that it's all very well having all these online courses and, watching all the YouTubers and all of that. But if you haven't got somebody who can spend a little bit of time talking to you, helping steer you on the right path, and making sure that you actually finish something that you started, then that's a really, really useful thing to have. So thank you very much. We're going to go off and find out a little bit more about some of the stuff going on in Bradford, and just bear with me a moment.